Welcome, brother. I'm JK Amazy, founder and head coach of the Porn Reboot system. You can learn more about us by visiting elevatedrecovery.org. And if you're a man who's interested in gaining control of his out of control behavior with porn and masturbation, then this is the best YouTube channel to follow. Go ahead and subscribe, and once you do so, make sure you click on the bell icon so that you receive notifications whenever I release videos. Now, I release videos 4 times a week, every single week. I noticed in our Facebook group recently that a brother had put up a post, and by the way, you can join our free Facebook group by using the link in the description below. A brother had shared that he experienced a relapse recently. And his solution to that, one of the main solutions was, he said, I'm going to go back on YouTube to your videos, JK, and I'm going to just watch a whole bunch of your videos. That's what I'm doing. And I've learned over the years that this is something that many men do. So many men, when they find somebody on YouTube or on a podcast or somewhere on social media that gives advice on ending their behavior, they sometimes feel that watching these videos is really going to help them end their behavior. Now, I know, logically speaking, you understand that it isn't going to directly help you end your behavior, but the problem comes from something that I call mental masturbation. And that simply means that sometimes instead of taking action when we have or we hear a very useful tip or a very useful tool or a strategy that we can use, we are already so caught up in the habit forming aspect of that piece of social media, YouTube for instance, that we just end up opening more tabs and watching more videos, which is ironic because we do the same thing when we watch pornography. You come there because you want to relieve stress, or because you're bored, or because you're turned on, and you want to watch just one thing. In fact, sometimes you might even tell yourself, I'm only going to ejaculate or orgasm to this one particular video. But the next thing you know, 40 minutes has passed and you have multiple tabs open. And that's because your brain has so many dopamine receptors that you've created as a result of your out of control behavior. And so you need more and more dopamine. And that's one of the reasons why there are a lot of men, and I hope you are not one of those men, but there are a lot of men who watch these videos, and years later, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later, they still haven't made any progress when it comes to controlling their behavior. And it's because you've been mentally masturbating. You haven't been taking action. Now, I'll be very direct with you. I do offer a paid group coaching program, but I'm also aware that only a very small percentage of men are qualified to be in my program. And that's the reason why 95% of my system is right here on YouTube for free. You just have to dig a little bit for it. But the system is here, and there are lots of men who have learned how to control their behavior. You don't have to take it from me. I'm probably one of the few guys who deals with out of control sexual behaviors, who actually has video interviews with clients of mine who have successfully gained some level of control or full control over their behavior. And you can find those testimonials here. There's a playlist for it. So today what I'm going to share with you are just a few things that you can do to make the most of this particular channel and really come away with it with actionable steps that you can take back into your life and kind of apply to your reboot. The first thing to understand is that the Porn Reboot system is a system. It is not a amalgamation or a bunch of different tips and tricks that you can apply. That is really not the way that you want to view this channel. It's a system, which means that it is reliable, it is predictable, and it is consistent. Those are the 3 things to remember. When I say it's reliable, I mean that when you apply it, you're going to get the results that it promises. When I tell you that, hey, if you do this, or if you apply this mindset, or if you use this particular tool, this is the result you're going to get. As long as you apply it exactly the way I teach it, you are going to get the desired result. The second thing is that it is predictable. Predictable means that when you are following the system, you know what's going to happen before it happens, which means that you know when you're going to slip, you know when you're more likely to relapse, you know when you're about to cross a boundary, and for every action you take, you have an idea of what's going to happen in the future. And this is one of the things that has been missing from your life. It's that element of predictability, which gives you a level of control and hope, because when you know what's going to happen and you are very clear about that, then you know what steps that you need to take. And then finally, it's consistent, which means that as long as you keep applying the things you learn in the system, you're going to keep getting the results that are promised, always. And you're going to keep growing. So you notice yourself week after week, month after month, making progress. And that's why it's very important. I tell brothers, when you follow our system, sure, you can do it on your own. And yes, there are men who have rewired on their own. It's just very rare. But it is helpful to be in a group like our free Facebook group. That way you have a sense of what you're doing. You don't get lost, or you don't get thrown off by that little addict voice in your head. Okay? So understanding that it's a system will help you view our YouTube channel very differently. The second thing I want you to do is based on what I've noticed from the men who have recovered and who have made progress using this YouTube channel. One of the things that they've done is that they actually study the videos. And when I say study the videos, it means if there's a particular video that teaches a concept, they don't just watch it, they're actually taking notes. And I think that's brilliant. It's also what I do on the rare occasions when I learn something from YouTube. I never just watch something on YouTube, unless maybe it's a how-to video. But if I'm looking to get some real nuggets of knowledge that can help me with something specific, you best believe that I am taking detailed notes. Because often on YouTube, in case you haven't noticed, most people who share or who teach talk about a whole bunch of different things. And right in there, maybe 10 minutes in, maybe 15 minutes in, or even longer than that, that's where what you're looking for, that's where you're actually going to find it. Because a lot of people speak in a very conversational tone. And I know I do that in some, not all of my videos. For the most part, I jump right into it. So, gentlemen, study. If it has to do with relapse prevention and you're going through our relapse prevention checklist, please make sure that you're taking notes. And the final thing is, if you want to make the most of this channel, understand that our system works best when you apply the main concepts, the foundational concepts that the Porn Reboot system is built on. And I'm going to share a few of them with you very briefly. The first concept is not counting. Now, you don't have to be perfect at this. This is natural human behavior. But as I've said before, whenever you're counting the number of days that you've been off pornography, you're only counting towards an ideal. And even though I share this with you, the easiest way to know the person who never finished watching this video is to, at this point, go down to the comment section and find the guy who posted day 5 or day 8 or I relapsed after a certain number of days. And that would be a classic example of the man who hops on this channel and is probably going to gain nothing from it because he's still focused on counting. We don't count here. It is irrelevant because you are counting towards an ideal, which means this perfect time where you will feel a certain way when your behavior is under control. But that ideal is not real because you've never been there before. First of all, even if you realize that you do get there, it's not going to be anything like what you thought it was. So if you're one of those no-fap or semen retention guys who thinks that when he gets to his particular goal of 90 days, that he's going to be fitter, he's going to be more attractive to women, he's going to be more focused. Let me tell you a dirty little secret about these communities. Many of these men, and I'm not saying that none of these things have their benefits, they do have these benefits. Many of these men, number one, feel this way, but it's not as exaggerated as you would hear them say it in the videos. But because they've put in the effort and the ideal was like, hey, you're going to feel like you're up here, but what they actually feel is like they're right here, but it's better than being here, they have to make what they feel right here sound like it's up here. And then you'll have these videos of guys sharing, you know, their different no-fap experiences and semen retention, blah, 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 number of days. These are all the different things that I experienced because all of it is confirmation bias. It's people who are part of a community. Basically, nobody in that community wants to admit that they didn't get any results. And I don't think that that's the best way to go about your recovery and rewiring your brain. Again, it's important to not count. If you want to learn more about not counting, all you need to do is use the search bar on this YouTube channel and actually search for days or search for counting. And there are many videos where I talk about this concept. The second important concept to make the most of our system is what I call working with your brain instead of against your brain. And this simply means that your brain has been rewired to view pornography. Whenever you experience stress, strong emotions, some issue with attachments, that is loneliness, or you don't feel like you have intimacy, when you experience very strong emotions, quite naturally you gravitate towards viewing pornography. This is the way your brain is programmed these days. That's how it works. And working against your brain means trying to use willpower to push against it. When you use willpower, number one, your willpower is finite. Number two, it is very rare that your willpower is going to last long enough for your brain to rewire because it takes time for your brain to rewire. And the final thing is, your brain feels like this is its new natural state of being. And your brain likes homeostasis. It likes to stay in a certain place that's going to keep it safe, rather a certain form. And so when you try to move your brain out of a state of homeostasis, it is going to resist you. It's going to be like, you know what, this is not normal. It's kind of like if you've never fasted before and you eat like 3 square meals a day. And one day you decide, I'm going to go on a 2-day fast. Well, it's not just your body that's going to resist you. Your brain is the main problem. Your brain is going to magnify those hunger pangs. And that's exactly what happens when you try to end this behavior. You're used to a steady diet of pornography at certain times or when you feel a certain way. And when your brain is not getting that, it, just as it would magnify the pangs of hunger when you are fasting or trying to fast for the first time, it's going to magnify your urges. And that's why it feels so challenging. So what we do in the Porn Reboot system is understanding that working against the brain works, but it is just so tiring emotionally and physically. We don't fight against the brain, right? We instead become aware of what is happening with the brain. A simple example is we don't beat ourselves up over slips, right? If you've done your best, what we do is you learn how to observe what is happening when you are experiencing a slip. For instance, you learn how to find out if you are avoiding a sexual relationship that you could use instead of viewing pornography. So an example would be finding out if there is a sexual relationship that you are avoiding and that you are choosing pornography over. So if you are in a committed relationship where you are having sex and pornography comes up as an option, which are you choosing? You learn how to become aware of that. Usually we don't think of that, but in the Porn Reboot system, we teach you how to do that, right? We have you become aware of whether you are medicating an emotion or not. A lot of times when guys slip, you ask them, well, why did you slip? They're just like, oh, I felt a strong urge. No, you didn't. You did feel the strong urge, but before the urge, what was happening? And so on and so forth. When you learn how to identify those things, instead of using willpower, you can go ahead and set boundaries around those things or implement the appropriate self-care that's going to prevent you from getting to a point where you would need to use pornography to medicate that. So that's what working with your brain instead of against your brain means. And one of the final concepts, I'm not going to break all of them down, I'm just sharing a few of them, would be what we call building reboot capital. So just as you might need capital to build a business, you might need financial resources that not only build your business, but also support your business in times where you don't have many customers or you don't have a lot of revenue coming in. You also need to build up capital in different areas of your life, in your social life, in your spiritual life, when it comes to your health and your fitness, when it comes to different aspects of your lifestyle. you have to build up capital in these areas. This is a concept that is based on a holistic methodology of rebooting, which means that we're not just focusing on your social behavior, we're focusing on every aspect of your behavior. What's going on in your community? What is your environment like? Not just your physical environment, but your online environment. We're also going to focus on what's your health like, right? Are you addicted to carbohydrates, to sugar, to alcohol? What are those things that you indulge in to medicate other things you're dealing with, which end up in a relapse? So again, those are some of the basic concepts that you want to understand. And all these concepts are right here on this channel, okay? If you're looking for specific concepts and you can't find them, just go ahead and ask me what you want to know in the comment section below this video, and I'll share the link to the appropriate video for you if you, for some reason, can't find it in the playlists. All right, brother? So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I just wanted to let you know that not many people are going to benefit from these YouTube videos, and it doesn't matter how illuminating they might sound to you. If you don't take the appropriate action, and you don't take that action based on one of the foundational concepts of our system is not going to work for you. Now, whenever you're ready, as I mentioned before, there are a couple of ways we can help you, but the first way would be to join our free Facebook group. There's a link to it in the description below. The second way would be to actually get on a call with one of our Reboot strategists. If you are at a point in your life where you're like, you know what, I've watched these videos, I've picked up tips and tricks, and I'm done with that. I actually need a system that works, and I want somebody to take me from point A, where I have no control, to point B, where I have full control of my behavior, and I want to do that within a 90-day period. So if you're that sort of person, then you're a good fit to get on a call with one of our Reboot strategists. I want to make it very clear to you, if you are not fully committed to ending your behavior, there's no need for you to waste your time, all my team's time, by trying to get on a call. Just stay here and keep watching the videos or keep seeking help in other places till you get to a point where you either have control over your behavior or you realize that, man, I need to change this behavior. It is do or die. When you're at that point, that's the best time to reach out to us, and that's when we can really help you through our group coaching program. In the meantime, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm JK, your brother in this struggle, and I'll speak to you later on in the week.